CNN's Scott Jennings took a swipe at Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Green over her split with President Trump.
Now, Scott Jennings appeared on ABC's This Week, where he argued that Green went, quote, off the deep end after getting turned down by Trump. Let's take a listen.
Marjorie Taylor Green becomes not just a Trump critic,
MTG becomes a lib. I mean, that's what happened this year. Yeah. She got a little bit out of shape because the president wouldn't support her for a statewide office in Georgia, which she was going to lose if she had gotten into it, by the way. And so she goes off the deep end.
Jennings also downplayed the notion of a split within MAGA. Let's take a listen.
I don't think these divisions and all this fraying are as big a deal as some people make it out to be. Trump is still extraordinarily popular among Republicans. He's the strongest party boss in the modern era. And he can get his allies in Congress to do most anything he wants them to do, which is why I think in the coming year, they really ought to spend some time trying to codify, to Rick's point, his executive orders and some of the other initiatives that he's had.
The New York Times recently did a profile on Green where she spoke about her split from Trump. She told the Times, quote, "Our side has been trained by Donald Trump to never apologize and never admit when you're wrong. You just keep pummeling your enemies no matter what. And as a Christian, I don't believe in doing that."
I don't think she's become a lib. She's certainly become more combative with Trump. It certainly is personal in some way. She's acting as if it's personal. So on her side, it's very personal. I don't know that it's personal for Trump. And I think that's maybe not a healthy place to be. I mean, I've said this before. If politics is very personal for you, you will not last in it. It's supposed to be the people who do it successfully for decades. It's very impersonal. Like they scream at each other on the Senate floor and they accuse each other of everything, and then they go get dinner afterwards. And it's part of, now you can say that's bad and that it's not good that there's a theatricality and a false nature to politics, but that is the reality, and it's seeming like she wasn't exactly cut out for that. I don't think she hasn't like fundamentally remade her actual political views. She thinks Trump is not doing some of the things he promised to do. I would quibble with her on some of that. On others, I do agree with her. So it's a complicated picture. On his point about there being a split within MAGA, that's where I think he was being a little overly rosy. It's true that Donald Trump totally commands the party, and it's true that the Republican members of Congress will do virtually anything he says. To his point, I don't know why they aren't working harder to make the things that Trump wants to do law. They're just doing it all via executive orders, which can be undone if there's ever a Democrat again. So that's a huge mistake. It doesn't speak to there being a split. There is a split in the commentariat right now. There's a huge split that I think we're going to get into a little bit later between Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, et cetera, and other people. And how much that actually matters is unclear, sure, but we can't just gloss over that split.
Yes,
as commentators ourselves.
And Scott Jennings is a good talker, so even as I watch this, I'm like, almost convinced me there's not a split. But no, I know what's going on. I think if you watched Turning Point's conference in Phoenix that they had, America Fest,
yes,
we didn't get to talk about that together, but yeah. It was a disaster, a blank show, as people like to call it. I mean, people came up there and just aired their grievances about one another for like the first few days. And I think, from Nick Fuentes being a rising star of perhaps of MAGA, even if he is just an online person, is still representative. No matter if you agree with all or some, the things that he says will start to represent the party if he's wholly embraced by people that are looked at as party leaders or interviewed by people that are mouthpieces for the Republican Party, like a lot of people look at Tucker Carlson as. I think when you look at the economy and Trump's 36% last time I checked approval rating, and you think about the things that Marjorie Taylor Green was saying, there's a split between what he's actually doing. When you think about the Pennsylvania farmers that voted for President Trump that were complaining over the summer about some of the actions that he's taken with tariffs and how they're affecting them, I think that that's valid criticism. So these are actual Republicans. This is the actual party, whether it's MAGA or the whole party, that has to grapple with what happens after President Trump. Perhaps they liked him for his charisma. Perhaps they liked him for his abrasiveness. Perhaps they liked some of the policies that he pitched on the economy. And then perhaps none of that is being met. Then what happens to the party after President Trump? The charisma might have been the glue holding it together. Well, J.D. Vance ain't Trump. Anybody else running is not Trump. And I don't even know what it is, if it's charisma, but it's something that President Trump obviously has to people that support him that keeps the party together like glue. nobody knows. This is the science experiment we haven't tried before.
Right.
And I think Scott Jennings understands that, but his job is to make it look good, like it's fine.
Right. It's a united and coherent political movement with Trump at its helm, but Trump will not be at its helm forever.
Exactly.
Although I guess, we're going to talk about J.D. Vance next, but if he runs for president and loses, I think Donald Trump does remain the leader of the party, even as its former, most recent presidential winner. That does it for us on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Hill's YouTube channel so that you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts. See you later.